Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. I'm sorry, I was just doing karaoke, Tesla karaoke. You know, when you own a Tesla, you have karaoke in the car. Anyway, scams, legal scams. We're being scammed every day. And many of these are life scams. So there's 10 of them that just in this video. There's 100,000 maybe. But there's 10 for this video. And I just want to set the whole thing up here. One of those scams that we have to talk about, we all know this, but we still bite. They still get us every single time. One of those scams is insurance, right? Healthcare insurance. Biggest ripoff in history. And it's sold to us based on the fact that something catastrophic is going to happen. Now listen, if you're watching this and you've had a catastrophic health event, it happens, it's sad, and I'm not judging anybody. And I'm not telling anybody what to do, by the way. None of this is financial advice in any way, shape, or form. But for the vast majority of people, just like everything else in life, they pay for things that they rarely, if ever, hopefully you're lucky, that you'll never need to utilize your health insurance. But it's a catch-22, right? And it's the same with car insurance. It's the same with homeowners insurance. Now, with car insurance, you do have some controls. You know, if you pay cash for a car, if you're driving a used car or whatever, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and there's no bank loan on it, there's no note, in other words, or, you know, there's no title lien, you can get away with the minimal insurance. And I do that. That's what I do. My cars have the basic minimum required insurance. And I didn't always do that, by the way. For many years, I paid full insurance, full on everything, full on this, full on that. And I realized it was a complete ripoff. So I don't do it anymore. Now, if you're in that position and you don't have a choice, I'm sorry. But maybe think about selling that expensive car that you paid too much for. You're paying too many payments on it. You're paying too much insurance on. Get rid of it and buy a used car, you know? We know I talk about Tesla. I love Tesla. I buy Teslas. I buy them new. Rarely do I ever have payments on them. And if I do, those payments are for very short periods of time. I'm usually waiting to utilize that cash for something else I was going to, you know, some other deal I'm doing. But I try to avoid it. And I know a lot of people can't. 85% of people, especially in the United States now, have car loans. I think that's tragic. I'm sorry. I think that's tragic. But same with health insurance. You know, the problem with all insurance is you pay, you know, for health insurance for a family, you pay $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month. Hopefully you never use it. But the problem is when you do decide to use it, as soon as you file a claim, they tell you, well, that's not covered, or that's not covered, or that's not covered. If you've been in a car accident, you know all about this. Well, we cover that, but we don't cover that. We cover this, but we don't cover that. So you're paying for something that you don't have, which is a total ripoff, right? The other thing, and these are things that you can control. You know what's extremely expensive, and it's a complete scam? A wedding. Having a wedding. As soon as you put wedding, the word wedding, into any conversation for any service, the price quadruples, sometimes even higher. You know, I've been in the restaurant business all my life, right? We have live bands sometimes. And you get a live band, let's say, you know, a decent live band, a good live band. Maybe 4-piece, 5-piece band, keyboards, drummer, guitar, you know, good vocals. And, you know, you might pay $800, $1,000, let's say, for a really good band. If you call that same band the next day and you tell them you're getting married, that price went up to $5,000, $5,000. Weddings are a total ripoff. And here's the funniest part of it. It's crazy. People don't feel like they're married unless they have some big extravagant wedding. And then, of course, marketing people love this because they convince you, well, if you don't do this, I mean, you're going to look bad. So I just think that's a whole ripoff. Now, I got married a long time ago, 100 years ago. And we had a nice wedding. We had a big crowd. We had all this stuff, but nothing like the weddings of today. And I don't want to sound like the old guy. I don't regret it. It was great. All the family in it. But to be fair, most of the people that go to your wedding, you're never going to see them again. Because when you get married, your life changes anyway. Everything changes after you get married. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing in most ways. But you know, you've spent all this money, and sure, people give you money, blah, 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 blah. You never make out, by the way. That's a complete myth, especially nowadays, because people are not as generous as they used to be when it comes to weddings. But that's another one. And the other one is college. I mean, you can't, and again, these are legal scams. These are scams. We have been lied to our entire lives with these scams. And it is changing. I'll get to that in a minute. But college is a classic example. I mean, I never went to college. I left school when I was 14. I went to work construction. Then I got into the restaurant business. The rest is history. I've done okay. Do I regret not having a better education? Of course I do. Anybody who says that they don't are an idiot. But thankfully, today I have access to any education I want. But the point is, again, there's a stigma attached to college. People think they're less than if they don't go to a college. And then if they go to this college over here and they don't go to this college over here, oh no, you can't do that. Like, my buddy Jimmy or Mary or Johnny went to this college, so I got to go to an even better college than that. Something like 70% of the people in college are not that smart. And I'm not knocking you, but basically, there was a time when only highly intelligent people went to college. You wouldn't be accepted otherwise. Like, you had to be really intelligent, which meant that you got a much better education. You had the ability to get an education and to absorb everything you were learning. And then you left college and you ended up getting these really, really good jobs or really good careers and all this stuff. And forget about Harvard or these other schools. People are graduating Harvard. They walk in with their graduation, with their certificate and their major or whatever it is, and they just get jobs. That's changing too, by the way. But maybe you should have gone to a community college. Maybe most people should go to community college. And I'm not knocking education. Don't go attacking me. But that piece of paper, for most people, is not worth $200,000. And yet you are convinced that it's going to give you a better life if you're a college graduate. Big corporations now are not buying into that anymore. By the way, a lot of big corporations now don't look at your resume based on your education history. If you've volunteered, if you've worked at different jobs, let's say you've worked construction, but if you've also volunteered for Habitat for Humanity or whatever, all these different things, they look at that. They're looking for character more so now than education. And forget about it. If you're a graduating accountant now, or even a graduating lawyer, or frankly, if you're in med school, be careful, because artificial intelligence is coming for your job. And I know people in the comments are going to be like, that's not going to happen. It's all BS. It's not. There are jobs that are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. And if you don't believe that that's happening, you are kidding yourself. So anyway, like I do on some of my videos, I have decided to allow artificial intelligence to tell some of these stories much better than I am. And what I did was I took some prompts, I put it in video.ai, and it spit out a video for me. And I want you to watch that video because it highlights the top 10 lies and scams that we have been fed all our life. It's coming up now.
Welcome to the show. Tonight we're diving deep into the hidden truths that shape our everyday lives, often without us even noticing. Tonight we're exposing 10 of the biggest life scams society tricks us into believing. These are the myths and illusions that have been woven into the fabric of our routines, so subtle that we rarely stop to question them. These are the unspoken rules we're all playing by, often without realizing it. They're the silent scripts that guide our decisions, shaping what we value, how we spend our time, and even how we see ourselves. When I say scams, I don't mean a guy in a cheap suit selling you a monorail. Most aren't even illegal. In fact, many are so normalized that we accept them as just the way things are. They're expertly crafted traps draining our money, time, and peace of mind. These traps are designed to keep us running in circles, always chasing, rarely arriving. Like those impossible to open packages, by the time you get inside, you've forgotten why you wanted it. The effort leaves you frustrated and the reward often feels hollow. So grab a drink. We're pulling back the curtain on these grand deceptions. Let's share a laugh, but also get ready to challenge what we've always accepted as normal. Understanding the scam is the first step to not falling for it. Once you see the trick, you can choose a different path and maybe even help others do the same. Let's start with a classic. American health insurance. You pay a hefty premium every month for the illusion of security. But when you need help, you're hit with exclusions, sky-high deductibles, and endless red tape. The industry profits by denying care. Your health is their liability. Every denied claim and confusing policy is by design. Executives get rich while families go bankrupt for getting sick. It's a protection racket disguised as healthcare. And we're told this is normal. Next up, the college degree, a milestone that's become almost a rite of passage for millions of young people. It's the next step after high school, the path everyone says you need to take to secure your future. Sold as the golden ticket to success, a college degree is supposed to open doors and guarantee a better life. But in reality, for many, it's a high-interest loan that can haunt you for decades, shaping your choices long after graduation. Tuition has soared to staggering heights, yet universities keep building luxury dorms, fancy gyms, and new stadiums, knowing students can always borrow more to pay for it all. The cost of education keeps rising, but so do the perks for those running the show. The risk falls entirely on the student, who's promised a dream job and a bright future, but often ends up underemployed, working jobs that don't require a degree, and buried under a mountain of debt that feels impossible to escape. Education itself isn't worthless, far from it. But the system that delivers it has become predatory, prioritizing profits over people and leaving students to pick up the pieces. It preys on ambition, saddles the young with debt before they've even started their adult lives, and enriches both institutions and lenders at every turn. The pursuit of knowledge has become a financial gamble, a high-stakes bet where the house always seems to win, no matter how hard you try. For many, that diploma, once a symbol of hope and opportunity, ends up being the most expensive piece of paper they'll ever own, a reminder of dreams deferred by debt. Love is priceless, unless you're getting married. The wedding industry turns a personal milestone into a high-pressure spending spree. Add wedding to any product, and the price triples. Social pressure and manufactured expectations convince couples their love isn't real without a lavish party. Couples start married life in debt, all for a few hours of spectacle. The industry monetizes insecurity and sells a fantasy, the real scam, equating the size of your wedding with the size of your love. The actual marriage is free, everything else is expensive window dressing. Enter the timeshare, a vacation scam for the ages. You're sold a dream of affordable paradise, but you're really buying the right to use a property for 1 week a year. The real trap: endless rising maintenance fees, whether you use it or not. Getting out is nearly impossible. The resale market is a graveyard. It's not an asset, it's a lifelong liability. A vacation that follows you home and bleeds you dry. All for a slice of paradise you may never actually enjoy. Scam number 5, the two-party system. It's presented as the foundation of democracy, a grand contest of ideas, but is it really a choice, or just the appearance of one? We're told there are only 2 choices for a nation of millions, as if the hopes and dreams of an entire country can be squeezed into just 2 boxes. Both parties are funded by the same powerful interests: corporations, lobbyists, and wealthy donors, ensuring that real change is always just out of reach. The real fight isn't about ideology or values, it's about who gets to control the spoils, who gets to sit at the table and divide up the benefits. This binary choice divides us, distracts us, and keeps power unchallenged. It turns neighbors into rivals, and debate into endless shouting matches. On major issues, war, money and politics, corporate influence, both sides often agree more than they admit, quietly maintaining the same systems. The illusion of choice keeps us arguing with each other, while the powerful stay in charge and quietly profit from our division. We get to vote, but the range of outcomes is narrow by design. Real alternatives are kept off the table, and the system remains unchanged. Let's talk about tipping. The guilt trip at every checkout. What was once a thank you is now a shadow wage system, letting businesses offload paying staff onto customers. Technology has made it worse. Tip screens pressure you into higher percentages for basic service. Workers' incomes are unpredictable, and customers are left confused and resentful. The real scam: wage theft disguised as social custom. Businesses advertise lower prices, but you pay the difference. It's a uniquely American charade that leaves everyone but the owner shortchanged. Multi-level marketing, MLMs, prey on hope and relationships. They promise financial freedom, but the real business is recruiting others, not selling products. It's a pyramid scheme with a product tacked on for legality. Nearly everyone loses money buying starter kits and meeting quotas by purchasing their own inventory. Only those at the top profit, while the rest lose money and friends. MLMs weaponize trust, turning your social circle into sales targets. They exploit the desire for community and stability, leaving debt and broken relationships behind. It's hope, monetized and betrayed. Trickle-down economics, a myth that refuses to die. The pitch cut taxes for the rich and prosperity will trickle down to everyone else. In reality, the wealthy just keep more for themselves. Stock buybacks, bonuses, offshore accounts. Decades of this policy have only widened the wealth gap and gutted public services. The myth persists because it benefits those at the top. It's a scam dressed up as economic wisdom, justifying policies that funnel wealth upward. It's not trickle down, it's siphon up economics, and we're the ones getting drained. The subscription model, a digital pickpocket. Everything's a subscription now, from music to razors to printer ink. Companies bank on you forgetting to cancel, draining your money with small recurring fees. Canceling is a maze of obstacles, designed to wear you down. It's not just streaming. Any recurring payment can become a trap. Convenience becomes a liability, preying on our busy lives. They lure you in, then count on you being too distracted to leave. The pressure to be the bigger person is an emotional scam. We're taught to forgive and forget, but this often benefits the wrongdoer, not the victim. It's used to silence people and avoid accountability. Insisting on forgiveness without change enables repeated harm. True maturity is about boundaries and demanding accountability. Sometimes, self-respect means not taking the high road but building a wall. Don't let society convince you that self-preservation is a flaw. Protecting yourself isn't weakness, it's wisdom. There you have it, 10 of the biggest scams we're all sold. They're so common we barely notice them, but that's their power. Awareness is the first step to breaking free. What scams have you spotted? Share your stories in the comments. Let's turn the comment section into a support group for the socially swindled. Recognizing these systems lets you make better choices and protect yourself. Stay vigilant, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help others wake up too.